Star Wars Rebels Season 3 Finale 0 Hour Parts 1 and 2. This is a pretty crazy season finale. It definitely reminded me a lot of Star Wars Rogue One, just not as crazy, but it was really good. I mean, we got to see a lot of crazy stuff happening. It was very fast paced. Like, there were some things that were happening as I was watching it. I was like, okay, I expect this to happen maybe like, 15 minutes from now. And it would happen like 5 minutes later, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on in this season finale. So, really early, it starts off with Callus realizing that he's been busted by Thrawn, and so they have a fight sequence, and Callus gets captured. He's captured pretty much the whole episode. I knew he was going to escape, though. As soon as Thrawn was gone, and he's going down to Lothal, or not to Lothal, but he's going down to the base on the planet, I was like, okay, so Callus is by himself. And then you have the commander, and she's like, get rid of him. Like, basically, he was annoying her. And she's like, get rid of him. I'm like, oh, and that's it. He escaped. And, of course, as soon as they have the elevator closing, he has that little smirk. And I was like, yep, he's gone. Like, he's officially out of there. He's going to make his way to the Rebels. And we're going to get to see how that plays out in the next season, where he is a part of the, the Resistance. And I thought that was really cool, how they would, utilize that change in his character. So I'm excited to see how that plays out in the next season. But the whole episode was just, it was really like just a crazy battle episode. I mean, they're on the planet, they have their whole plan set up. The whole point, honestly, nothing played out like I thought. I was like, okay, the last couple episodes has been like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Lothal is, the big thing. Like, that's where we're headed. That is our big push. And it doesn't get to that point because we have them get busted because of, Thrawn is like a super genius. And that was one of those things in the beginning where I'm like, okay, there's certain things that he's saying here where it's like, this is clearly going to be a trap for Callus. He knows that they're being spied on right now. And his plan, which definitely worked out, was to use the trajectory of like the Rebel fleet and where they were flying versus the trajectory of the signal Callus sent out as like a distress signal or a warning signal. And he uses that as like a cross and is like, yep, this is where the planet is. And he's like, yeah, it's not on any Imperial maps, but if you use like it was like some ancient artistic maps or something like that, and boom, here's the planet. And that's how he found out where the Rebel base was. And I thought that was very cool. It was, typical Thrawn and very cold and calculating. And I love that. I thought it was really great. And like I said, those were things that just escalated in the beginning. And then, boom, he attacks the planet, and it just gets crazier and crazier after that. I mean, we actually lose a character in this episode in Sato, which is very surprising. I figured someone wasn't going to make it, and I was curious how it was going to play out. And it sucked to see Sato go, because he was the character where, even though he's in the background, he's still there. We see him so often because he's always at the base. He rarely went on missions, so he was typically there when they would, talk with someone else and they stand around the table. He was always there, or he was always contacting them while they were on missions. And it's just like, he's that character that, even though he's a side character, he's more than familiar enough for it to have made an impact. So the way he went out, was pretty cool, and it allowed for Ezra to actually escape, which allowed him to get to Sabine, which I was super happy that she showed up in like the second half and everything. So it allowed him to get to her, and then, that brings in reinforcements from space, which coupled, it's hard to call it reinforcements, but it still helped Kanan going to Bendu, which he made him really mad, and he turned him into like a super lightning storm, which was absolutely amazing. But technically it still helped him. I mean, he's shooting down lightning bolts like Zeus and stuff, and it was just really cool. I was like, this is pretty awesome. He's just like striking people down, he's hitting walkers and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is pretty intense. I was not expecting him to, summon his own like lightning storm. Like, he basically teleports after Kanan calls him a coward, which I was really surprised that had such an effect on him. He's like, whatever, people dying, you brought destruction to my planet and stuff. That kind of blows, man. And then Kanan's like, you're a coward. And he like flipped on him, and I'm like, wow, for all these amazing lessons he was giving about emotion and stuff, he lost his effing mind when he got called a coward. And then he just went bananas and became a giant lightning storm in the sky and started striking people down. So that was very cool. But we do see him actually get taken down by Thrawn because he realizes that Bendu is actually within the storm, and basically he was flying. Like, he was using the Force in some like absolutely amazing ways. Like, I actually did a live reaction for this, which that'll be out tomorrow. But I mentioned when I was watching it, like, man, I played through both Force Unleashed games, And I never made a lightning storm. I mean, I've done some crazy stuff like, you know, you bring down the Star Destroyer in the first game, but it was just like, wow, he like turned into a lightning storm and was striking people down. Like that kind of blows all the Force Unleashed stuff out of the water, and that game gets pretty crazy. So it was just really awesome seeing that. But he gets taken down, and then Thrawn goes up to him, you know, with his troopers in tow, and Bendu's talking to him, was like, you know, you can't really destroy me. And I was like, he's gonna, you know, he's gonna be a Force Ghost. Like, as soon as he was saying that stuff, I'm like, he's gonna turn into a Force Ghost. And I love how they did it too. And like, Thrawn aims at him because he's like, you know, we took you down out of the sky. He fell down like a comet too, so it was actually a pretty cool way to do it. And he, you know, he pulls the trigger on the blaster, and it just hits the ground, and we just hear Bendu laughing. I was like, that's pretty awesome. You know, that's, you know, even though we don't see him, that's the biggest Force Ghost that I could possibly think of at this point. So that was really awesome. I was like, that was just a cool way to do that, where, you know, he becomes a Force Ghost. And it makes me wonder if they'll bring his character back, because I was thinking, how are they going to do things with the planet, you know, being bombarded and stuff like that. You know, we haven't gotten to like, you know, Rogue One levels where they actually have the early version of the Death Star and things like that. So it's like, I don't expect the entire planet to be destroyed or anything like that, but how are they going to play this? Because of course the Rebels won't be there. But Bendu as a character, I felt, was so crucial to the story, considering his, you know, amorality between, you know, light and dark, and kind of just doing whatever he wants while embodying, you know, the abilities of the Force. That's a pretty big deal for a character. And I feel that with him being a Force Ghost, that's a really easy way for them to keep him within the series, where he can show up and help Kanan, or not help him, depending on how he really feels about it. But he can end up, you know, coming back into the series in the next season, helping both Kanan and Ezra as a Force Ghost. And I think that would actually be really cool, and a really easy way to keep that character around, where he still has, you know, kind of the same abilities, just a less physical form. So I feel like that's where we might be headed with that character, which I totally wouldn't mind, because that seems to fit the role of that character, considering what he did, you know, not being really action-based until this episode. Being a Force Ghost, I think, fits kind of perfectly in line with sort of the calm demeanor of that character, where it's like, yeah, I kind of just dole out the lessons and then I disappear, and that's pretty much it. So I feel like we haven't seen the last of Bendu, and I think we'll get to see him as like a super giant Force Ghost in the next season, so that should be pretty cool. The battles and stuff were really nice. You know, like I said, it gave me a lot of Rogue One feelings, because there were a lot of ships that went down, a lot of characters that we weren't really familiar with, or, you know, kind of nameless, just Rebel characters, but there are a lot of ships that went down. Outside of Sato, who of course was like our character death, there were still a lot of Rebel ships that were completely destroyed, and Ezra wasn't able to get any help from the Rebel Alliance. Like, he talks to Mon Mothma, and she's like, yeah, we can't really send any reinforcements, because that would kind of play into Thrawn's hand, and he would just wipe out even more rebels. And so Ezra had no choice but to go to Sabine and hope that, I think they basically sent out, there were like 5 people that came with him, with Sabine, her brother, and then some other Mandalorians. But they did some really cool stuff. You know, they land on, I forgot what it was actually called. It was like the Interceptor, I believe it was. So they're running on outside of the ship, and he's got his lightsaber. He's deflecting blasts from TIE fighters and stuff like that. So they had some pretty cool sequences there. They're able to destroy the ship, which helps them out in battle, which was just a bonus because Bendu was going nuts. So it was kind of like 2 bits of reinforcement in the sky as well as in space. So everyone's able to survive, at least, you know, as things start to continue, more and more people are able to survive. There's still ships that get shot down. Like, there's one of the ships, as everybody was taken off from the planet, one of the ships still got shot down, like, as they're leaving. This was, I think, like the last 5 minutes of the episode. We still see an entire ship of rebels get destroyed, and they all die. So there's a lot of loss in this episode, and, you know, they really show that at the end, where the Ghost is full of people. Like, there are a ton of people on the ship, where it's like they, you know, everybody just kind of packed together. It's like, we got to get out of here right now in order to live. And I really enjoyed that. And, you know, we see how devastated everyone is, because they lost so many people, and they lost entire ships, and just dozens. You know, considering how many ships were destroyed, I would say there have to at least been like 3 dozen people that died in this episode, even if they didn't really show it. There are people on all those ships, you know, like a lot of people, I would imagine. So it's just a very intense episode as far as the loss of the characters. They reference a little bit of what's going on with the Mandalorians when Ezra and Chopper actually get to Sabine, and they talk about the civil unrest and how certain Mandalorian clans are backed by the Empire, and Sabine's people, you know, their clan is kind of really spread out thin. So I'm sure we'll get to see a lot more of that in the next season. Like, she even mentions it, like, I'd love to help you guys, but I have to go back to my people and, kind of fix things on Mandalore. So I'm sure that'll still be a big part of next season. And I'm curious how that's going to play out, because with her doing that, she's still kind of off on her own, doing her own thing. Will they bring Kallus in to kind of replace her character and he becomes a permanent part of the team, because he played such an important role and he's always been a main character. He's really the only villain that's continued through the entire series. Every other villain, or at least every other main villain, they always get swapped out every season. And Thrawn is actually the first main villain to survive, so he'll get to go on into the next season and continue to be, that cold, calculating character. But I think we'll also get to see a change in that because of what Bendu said to him about seeing his loss in the future. And I'm like, I feel like that'll come into play next season, where he knows that he's typically super smart and he's able to make everything work exactly as he wants. But having heard that he's going to lose in the future, I'm curious to see how that's going to affect his character. Where he's like, this seems like the best plan, but what if it's not? He'll start to doubt himself and his great ideas, and that's what's going to lead to his loss. So I'm kind of excited to see that play out. Really, really enjoyed the season finale. Like I said, I think it was very fast-paced, and then it was just super dramatic. And there were parts, honestly, where I was kind of worried. I was like, I'm not 100% sure all the main characters are going to live. Like, there were just parts where they were split up, and the planet's getting bombarded and shields are about to drop and they have walkers coming in and they don't have nearly enough defenses to take them out. And all I could think was, I don't know. Like, I like to assume all the main characters are going to live, but there were definitely parts in here where I was like, I just don't know 100%. I assume that that's, nothing crazy like that is going to happen, but there are just parts where I was like, I just don't know. Like, I can't say with 100% certainty, all the main characters are going to live. I was a little worried. There were some parts in there where I was just like, I don't know how this might play out. But fortunately, everybody did live, including AP5. We get to see like all the main characters in this episode. But it was really good. I'm super excited for next season, of course. Would love to know what you guys thought about this finale. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And I just want to know what you guys want to see in the next season. What characters you want brought into the next season. What you thought about this season. What were some of your favorite episodes from this season. I really enjoyed this one. Of course, mid-season finale was phenomenal, with them doing like such a great callback to Clone Wars and introducing the Darksaber, and then the 2 episodes for Sabine where they focused on her and Mandalorians and all that stuff was just absolutely amazing. Of course, the episode leading up to the season finale, Twin Suns, was absolutely phenomenal. Very poignant battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. So, really great season. Did a lot of crazy stuff. Looking forward to the next season. Like I said, I did do a a live reaction to this episode. Once that's uploaded, I'll have a link in the description for that. If you guys, happen to see this really late, it might already be in the description. But for anyone who checks this out pretty early, it'll be out by tomorrow, so you can just, check back on the channel and I'll have that reaction uploaded. But like I said, would love to know what you guys thought about this finale, what you thought about this season compared to the other seasons, and definitely want to know what you guys are looking forward to in the next season, or just what you want to see. Because, I mean, we've had, with Thrawn being in this, that's something that they brought from the extended universe, and, there's a lot to that. There's a lot in the universe that is now just, random non-canon stuff that they can bring in. So, I did the same thing in my reaction video. I would love to know what you guys would like to see brought in from the extended universe, the expanded universe. I can't think of which. I think it's expanded universe. But I would love to know which characters or just events, just certain things that have happened in the, novels and comics and things like that. What stories would you guys like brought into the next season of the show? And like I said, just want to know what you guys thought about this finale in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.